Hi, I'm Andy Pargh, and you're watching the Gadget Guru. Well, today I'm starting a new chapter of my life, and I'm considering doing something that I've been wanting to do for decades, and that's possibly buying a motor coach. But as I started researching this, I'm ending up with more questions than answers. But I've come up with something that I'm going to try to see if I can find out if this lifestyle is what I'm looking for. So stay tuned, because that coverage starts right now on the Gadget Guru. Okay, so people who know me, or people who've been watching the Gadget Guru on TV for the past few decades, know that I've had a fascination with these large RVs, or motor coaches, or mansions on wheels, as some may call them, for decades. In fact, take a look at this. This segment is from 1996, and in this one, I did a segment on what's new in camping and RVs and motor coaches on NBC's Today's Show. But when you talk about the way we like to travel,
you and me, pal.
I mean, whether it's John Madden or whether you're a country music star, you might want to get something like this. This is called the Country Coach, and I tell you about first class. Jack, I'm ready to go camping in something like this. Come on in, let me show you how this thing looks. It's really outrageous. We come in here, and you see, there's Jerry up here running the show, and you see this thing is like a living room. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. You have plenty of room in here. Look, you can sit down on this. You want more room? You can hit a button. Jerry has a button up here, and watch what happens. This thing will expand out to give you about 3 more feet, or maybe about 3.5 feet of living space here.
This is great. Remember the movie Stripes, where somebody looks at, Bill Murray looks at somebody and says, I want to party with you, cowboy. I want to go camping with you, cowboy.
This is the way to do it. But you know what you can do that's even better here, notice how this is set up as a breakfast nook?
Right.
You can hit a button here, it converts down into a cocktail or coffee table. Come back around here, and a push of a button pushes it right back. But this thing is loaded. I mean, look at this, has a full kitchen area in here, and on the refrigerator, not one of those little tiny ones. Check this out, a double door, a Amana in here with in the water, ice and water.
That's what most people have in their homes.
Yes, it is. I mean, you look in the shower here. It's a full stand-up shower inside here.
Right.
And the same thing for the head. You know, we call them heads. You know, same thing for the head here.
Right.
Even have your washer, dryer in here. Now, as opposed to this thing designed, even though you can get a dozen people or so on here,
right,
it's really designed for 2 people, as you can see by the king-size bedroom. But if you go back up here, you got lots of room to socialize and look around here. In fact, let's just have a seat here.
All right.
And
we can enjoy our trip. Andy.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
Now, let's fast forward all these years. Now, back then, I worked with the RVIA in setting up these segments, because I really did not know that much about them. I went to them and I said, hey, what's hot in these different categories? And they assisted me in finding out and learning more about that. And also, there was a lot of coordination of getting those big things into 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York City early in the morning. And they were wonderful to work with. Well, as I've decided, okay, I'm at the stage of life now where I have the time and the resources to possibly purchase one of these. Well, I turned to the RVIA because I had a question. And the question is, okay, how does training work? You know, these things are huge. Some of them 40 foot long. It's like driving an 18-wheeler truck, only supposedly much smoother. I mean, we'll know more about that later. I was thinking, and I operated under the assumption that since that group, the RVIA, is funded and supported by the various motor coach and RV manufacturers, and their job was to get new people like me into their industry, whether it's in camping or RVs, that they'd have a plan. Well, they didn't. And this is where I'm confused. And as you know, and if not, check out thevog.net. Now, while I'm not active in that site anymore, I created it. And along with my friend Debbie, we built a social network for motorcycle riders. And those who followed me on the Vog know I preach safety. So whenever a new rider would come along and want to buy a motorcycle, the first thing I would tell them is to take the MSF class. Now, let me tell you how that equates. The Motorcycle Safety Foundation is a division of the MIC, the Motorcycle Industry Council. Now, that council, just like the RVIA, is supported by manufacturers. So if you wanted to buy a new motorcycle and you wanted to first, before you went out and wrote a check or got crazy and got on one and put them out on the road, what you would do is take a class. And these classes for new riders are basically 2 days. Half of that would be classroom, and the other half of that would be you actually get to ride on a small entry-level bike. Now, these bikes were either provided at a discount, I'm not really sure how it was, but they came from various manufacturers, but you could start on a small bike and learn. So I was under the assumption that the motor coach and RV industry would have something similar. Well, that's not the case. I've been calling the last month or so around the country, and over the next few weeks, you're going to see the results of these calls. My goal is that to make the decision, an educated decision, before I decide to buy one of these, to make sure that I can handle it, that I can learn about what's involved, to learn about proper licensing, techniques in driving going forward and back, and how to maintain things. Yeah, you don't just drive them, you got to empty the toilet, and there's a lot to learn. So here's what we're doing today. I'm at Mesa RV in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Now, they have showrooms in different cities across the country. Now, what I did, I made an appointment with Dan the RV man. Now, I had called him a year ago when I first started looking, and I called him about a week before, and I said, let's just not do this. I'm not ready to go yet. I'm ready to go now. So I made an appointment with him 2 weeks ago, and I proposed my situation to him. Now, of course, Dan, or La Mesa RV, just like many other motor coach or RV sellers, the method they work in is if you buy one, they'll spend a few days with you teaching you how to operate it. Well, that's not what I wanted to do, and he understood. He says, you come by, I'm going to give you an orientation, and then we're going to put you behind the wheel. We'll just go in the area, some city, maybe a little highway driving, depending on how we're doing. And then you're going to get the feel to see what it's like. Well, I showed up this morning on time, and guess what? He was with a paying customer. Am I a paying customer? Not yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to buy yet. But he moved me over to Victor, and Victor's been showing around. Right now, he's in the offices to see if the manager will say it's okay for me to drive one. Well, I thought all this was approved up front. But let me tell you, I have 2 other trips. Next week, I'm going out of state, and I've set up a 2-day professional training instruction. I don't tell you who it is yet, because I want to make sure it's going to happen. And then the following week, I'm taking another 2-day a 2-day training lesson from a major manufacturer. Now, we're going to see how this goes. Now, granted on those, I'm going to pay for their time to do it. They're providing the coach. And I don't know if they're doing something special. I just called and asked. I don't know that I am capable of purchasing it. I'm guessing they check me out to make sure I'm just not coming around just kicking tires and just trying to get a free drive. I'm trying to do this the right way. My goal was that by the end of this 3-week period, that I was going to have experience at different classes of Class A motor coaches. Yeah, they're like cars. You could have a luxury car. It could be a small luxury car, or let's say they're all the same size, but all of them are going to have a different type of feel. And then I can make the decision that, do I start, with an older coach, a pre-owned model? And then if things work out, do I go on and get the one that I really want and laid out just perfectly the way I want it? Or, and as you can see in this video that I shot just last month in Las Vegas with my friend Mike's King Air, do I follow his advice and buy my last coach first? Yeah, there's a lot of depreciation on this. So if you're buying one, either you buy pre-owned and you take the savings from the other person, you get it fully checked out. Or do I go in and take his advice and buy the one I really want? And to make sure that it's equipped and laid out what I think is going to do me. It's a gamble either way, and I really don't know what I'm going to do. So right now, I'm waiting for Victor to get back to tell us if we're going to do a test drive. If so, I'm going to give you the results of that after the test drive of what I've learned. Because I have about 2 hours of seat time behind a motor coach. And I really am hoping that this time that I can test drive just enough without making any salespeople crazy, so I can figure out if this is for me. But if we move forward, I got a lot of things we're going to talk about. We're not just going to talk about coaches and features and things that you need to look for and layouts and engines and all that. We're going to talk about how to maintain these, because right now I'm starting at ground zero. So as I learn something, I'm going to show you what I learned. And I'm sure with the forums and YouTube and GadgetGuru.com, you're going to tell me if I'm doing it wrong and maybe give me some suggestions on how to do it bigger. Then we're also going to answer a question. Okay, let's say, just by chance, I was happening to take this one or that one and buy it and take it home. Where do I put it? I can't park it in my community. It won't fit in my driveway. Well, we're looking at that too. We're looking at different facilities and RV coaches or RV coach parks. And they have those. What I'm learning so far is that these parks, they are like hotels. You could stay at a Holiday Inn or you could stay at a Ritz-Carlton. And we're going to be looking more into that. If Victor gets back to us and tells us that we can take a test drive, there's going to be more on this today. Okay, we had a change of plans. You see this right here? I'm in a Mountain Aire. It's an older one. I think it's a 2008. It has close to 50,000 miles on it. Now, here's what happened. Victor handed me back off to Dan the RV man. And what we did, and I probably have some video that I can throw in. Dan went through and we got off the lot here at La Mesa RV. And we're, being in the area that we're in Port St. Lucie, Florida, there's a lot of back roads around here, and we're not far from I-95. In fact, they're pretty convenient to I-95. Well, what we did, Dan didn't give me a lot of instruction. We just kind of talked just for 10 minutes, and he put me behind the seat. We didn't go through any of the operation. We put on the seatbelt, we adjusted the seat, we adjusted the wheel. We couldn't get the telescoping to work, but again, this is an old pre-owned model. And we got out there and we started on the back roads around here. A lot of these were single lanes, some of them were double lanes. And it took me a while to get comfortable. We practiced, getting the coach out there and taking right turns. So we did a bunch of them, again, 30 or 45 minutes or so. Then we took some left turns. And then we got on the highway. Now, one thing we noticed is that, we heard all kinds of clanking. Well, things like this drawer had opened up. Okay, this is an older coach. It wasn't working that well. There were a lot of creaks and noises that, from the doors, not just the things were opening, just if all that was secure. We were hearing creaks in the suspension or the bags. I don't even know what you call them yet. And I asked Dan, and I said, is this normal? If I bought a pre-owned or even a new coach of this caliber, is this normal? And his answer was,
there are new ones that are just as squeaky. There's some that are quieter. This one has we got doors that weren't latched. We had some issues going on back there that...
Of all the coaches you sell, what do you think delivers the quietest, smoothest ride? Let's say if it was a new coach or pre-owned.
I don't know, because I've driven King Aires that were rattly. I've driven King Aires that were quiet. It just depends on the coach. There's creaks, there's rattles. I mean, you're going to have it, okay?
And his answer was, yeah. That's pretty much what you can expect. And I got to tell you, I refuse to believe that. And don't think he's lying to me. I'm just thinking that my vision from looking from the outside in of the world of motor coaches is that there are coaches out there that are smooth, that are quiet, that are really going to give you a great highway experience, that you're not going to feel every bump on it. But we're going to find out. Now, while I'm here, let's show you something. We're in, and I think this is a 2008 Mountain Aire. Let's go in and take a look back here. If you've never seen a Mountain Aire with the slides in, you have your kitchen or your galley, you have your dinette over here. Now, to get through, can you walk through? Well, I weigh about 140 pounds, and if I go sideways, I can barely make it through here. And then you go through, and you can make it all the way to the bedroom. Now, can you get to the closet behind the bed? Well, you can if you jump over it. But I don't know, there might be an adjustment for that. I'm just making an observation here. And I got to tell you, this is an interesting coach. Is that one that I'd buy? No, I'm looking for something that is, I guess, smooth while being confident behind the wheel. I will tell you that it took me 30, 40 minutes to get even a bit of confidence of using my mirrors. Now, I will say that the mirrors did not fully adjust well. The one on the right, the upper mirror, it wouldn't come into the right, to the proper angle. There was something wrong with it. The lower one on the left, where you're supposed to see around, it wasn't exactly at the correct angle. But we had it enough, so what I'm doing is I'm looking down. I'm looking at the lines of the road. These things eat up the vast majority of the width of the road. But we did it. Nobody got hurt. Well, except maybe the top of the coach there where we clipped a few trees that were overhanging on the side. But there was somebody in the other lane coming the other way, and I wasn't going to cut over there. Okay, so here's the deal now. Over the next few weeks, I'm taking a cross-country trip. In fact, I'm doing 2 trips. And I'm not going to tell you where I'm going now, because just in case it doesn't happen, I don't want to say I'm going to and not get there. I don't want to embarrass anybody. But next week, I'm going to go take a tour of a major manufacturer, and then I'm going to a dealer. And there I've hired an instructor for 2 full days of instruction. And we're going to start from ground zero. I don't know how much we're going to focus on the operational tasks, but we're going to focus on good, safe methods of learning how to drive. And then I'm going to come home for a few days. After I settle down, after all my nerves go back from being jittery from handling this, then the next step is I'm going to another major manufacturer. And we're doing the same thing. I hired a coach for 2 days. We're using one of the manufacturers, I believe it's one of their pre-owned coaches. And we're doing the whole thing over again. So here's the deal. Within the next 3 weeks, I hope to have the question answered. A, do I want to buy a coach? B, do I want to get new or pre-owned? C, maybe some questions about layout after I looked at a bunch of them. Which ones would work best for my lifestyle? And D, what happens from here? This has been an interesting experience. Now don't forget, I'm going to have a lot more videos coming up on my motor coach experience. And if you want to keep posted on new videos or topics that I'm going to address, well, all you have to do, go to Facebook.com and simply like us. It's Facebook.com/The Gadget Guru. And don't forget, you can subscribe to us right here on YouTube. So that's it for now. I'm the Gadget Guru, Andy Pargh.